All right, everybody, we got Robbie here.
Hey, Robbie, can you kind of take us through the mechanics of a kick when the conditions are what they were? Do things change? Do things become more kind of amplified on just the less margin for error?
Well, I think going into the game, you have to figure out how the wind's blowing in each direction, how far the ball is falling left to right or right to left. And then as the game went on last week, you had to somehow figure out what the footing was. So we had scored the extra point, I think at like the 5:20 mark or something like that in the fourth quarter. So I'd known that it was going to be a little bit, I'll call it softer to plant, so I had to be a little bit lighter on my feet. But going into the last kick, when I went out there, I pushed down a bunch of the ground to make sure that it was a little bit firmer. So as far as the mechanics are, it's just to be shorter on your steps, be softer on your plant, and trust that the ball is going to fall about a quarter post left or right.
Hey, Robbie, I know you guys have talked quite a bit about the fact that playing the Rams is pretty much business as usual. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, given that you know them so well. But is there anything special to seeing them in the postseason, given how rare that is?
Well, I think, the NFC West, first of all, is probably the best conference in football, right? I mean, there's 3 teams with over 10 double-digit wins. So every game for us when we go against them or the Cardinals or the Seahawks is obviously got some implication on whether you're going to make the playoffs or not. We've had a lot of very close games with these guys. We've had some lopsided games on both sides. So biggest thing is coming down to execution. It's coming down to the least penalized team, the least amount of turnovers. And at the end of the day, it's literally about playing our brand of football. And do you want to see them in the playoffs? Sure. Like, there's a lot of great teams obviously in the NFC, and I'm not shocked that they're in the NFC Championship by any means. And we're familiar with them, they're familiar with us, and it's going to be a great game.
Hey, Robbie, I'm going to take a shot. I'm not sure how much you're hanging out with the defensive linemen, but the reaction to Jordan Willis after he spoke briefly in the locker room, Nick Bosa mentioned he's a quieter guy. Do you have any insight on Jordan and his personality and why maybe there was that reaction? Obviously, the block punt helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jordan is a guy who is very quiet. He's very mild-mannered. So, when you're in the locker room, he's a man of few words. But it's been awesome to get to kind of know him since we got him last year on the roster. So to see what he's been able to do for us, not only in special teams but on defense, I'm happy for him because of everything he's gone through this season and how hard he works. And, hearing him say more than just a couple sentences in the locker room after the game, it shows you how much he cares about football. It shows you how much he prepares for any role that he's going to be thrown into. And obviously as a reserve defensive lineman playing special teams here and there, those are details that you have to stay on top of and you have to spend more time doing it. And I'm happy for him because he's a guy who deserves it. And I love the fact that he's on our team and, just his journey from the Jets to here. Is something that we're pretty lucky to have him, and to make a huge play like that for us. If he doesn't block it, who knows what would happen in that game.
Hi, Robbie. Similar question, but about Dante Johnson, who seems to have come through in the pinch for this team. And I know he obviously has dealt with some personal tragedy with his mother this year. What has that brought the team, the fact that he was able to be resilient through that? And what is he like in the locker room while he's delivering these key contributions?
Well, first I'll say Dante is the key utility player, whether it be on defense, playing nickel, playing safety, playing corner. For us as a PP and having that security blanket of somebody having the football acumen that he has to help our guys getting in the right protection schemes and understanding what they're trying to do to attack us. Dante's been a guy who I've known since I got here. He's been on and off the team a little bit throughout that time. He's never wavered for us. He's always coming and he'll always be prepared at any role that he has to have. And then to go through the personal tragedy of losing a family member, coming back to playing and playing as well as he had. Obviously we don't want to see any of our teammates go through any of that, but I think those are the situations that you have as a team, the culture that's been built here, that as 49ers and as guys in the locker room, like there's a genuine love for each guy. I think there's a genuine appreciation for what they do, for what everyone goes through. We know that football, it's our jobs. It's not something that defines you, but it's something that pulls the locker room closer together. So I'm happy for Dante to see him going through what he went through and where he's at right now.
Got time for 2 more, guys?
Yes. Hi, Robbie. First of all, I'm not sure if you've seen all the videos around the world of people celebrating your field goals. So congratulations if you have. How does that make you feel? And how do you go back from such an epic game to, we say in Spanish, poner los pies en la tierra, so get grounded again to focus on your next game?
Well, I think the big thing for me is, I never try to get too high. I never try to get too low when I miss. So I think kicks like Saturday night's kick gives me more confidence. I think our operation has really come into form over the last couple weeks. I think, Tabor, like I said, on Saturday night has been doing an awesome job of getting laces to Mitch with great location. I feel like our rhythm is in probably the best form it's been all year. And then I think the big thing is knowing that game's over. When I got up Sunday morning, I talked to my wife and my kids for a little bit, and then to some friends, and they're all asking me about the kick, and I said, guys, listen, it's awesome, but at the end of the day, like, there's another game to be had on Sunday, and if you win the one against Green Bay but lose the one against the Rams because you're not focused, the one in Green Bay really doesn't matter because there's only one team that can be happy at the end of the year. So I'm excited to get back out there, practice. I feel like we're in a really great rhythm, and it'll be, I think, a big deal for us on special teams to go out and play well, and game planning for that's been awesome to take away from some of the other noise.
Last one.
Hey, Robbie, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask you, this 49ers team over the last several years has always been on the cusp of achieving that goal once again and winning a championship. So can you talk to me about just the mentality of this team and especially about moving forward?
Yeah, I think it starts with ownership. There's a reason that so many teams around here have had an opportunity to play in NFC championships over the last 20 years or more. So I think having guys have been in this situation before in 2019, I think Jimmy's going into his 5th appearance in championship games. I think those are all opportunities for us that we know that you can't take for granted because you don't know how often they're going to come. And I think, the team's really hungry based on what had happened the last time we were in the Super Bowl, and we're back in a situation where we can make that. And I'll tell you, the thing I remember most from watching the game and hearing it was George Kittle said we're going to be back and back with a vengeance, right? So that's something that's always stuck in my mind since we lost to Kansas City. But I think even more importantly is, you got the perfect group of hungry guys from 19, but also some great additions from other places that have been through the same experience. So for us, we're excited. The guys are really focused. I feel like this is, and I know we're only in the first day of install, but just being around them, getting rehab and recovery, I feel like this is the most focused we've been all year. And I hope that continues throughout the week. And, we're going against a really good football team in the Rams. And hopefully we'll have a sea of red down at SoFi, turned into Levi's South.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Guys, you got Jimmy here for you?
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. A couple of your teammates after the game on Saturday night mentioned the amount of the cleaner word used was crap that you take. And I was just wondering, do you have a strategy? I know some guys shut down all social media in the playoffs. Do you have a strategy for keeping yourself protected from that? I know that even if you don't look at things, sometimes friends will say something, your brothers, whatever. What's your strategy on handling the crap?
Well, yeah, I mean, friends, family, they'll always they seem to remind me of those things. But I don't know. I think just knowing yourself and knowing who you are plays a big part of that. because if you get lost in it and start believing some of those things, it could take you down the wrong road. So I don't know. I think it's just about knowing yourself as a player, as a person, and as long as these guys in this locker room have faith in me and belief in me, that's all I really care about.
Jimmy, how do you approach a week like this where you're so familiar with the opposition? Do you just try to go in to each week where you play the Rams with a blank slate, or how much carryover do you begin the week with?
Well, I think you always go back and watch the prior games. That's kind of where it starts, and then you kind of just take it from there. The games that they've played recently, you take into account. But there's a lot of football that they've played throughout this whole season, so you don't want to bog yourself down and be too overwhelmed with all the stuff. So I think there's a fine line of, you want to study the tape as well as you can, and we know these guys as well as possible, playing them for a third time now. Nothing will really surprise us, I wouldn't say.
Hey, Jimmy, kind of to tee off of that, do you get a sense in the pocket of, I guess, where Aaron Donald's coming from, what moves some of these guys like to do? How has the, I don't even want to say trash talk, but is there like a dialogue that's kind of gone over from game to game where these guys that closely?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever any division opponent's always like that, but especially these guys, we know each other pretty well. Coaching staffs know each other, so as far as maneuvering in the pocket, I think that kind of just happens naturally. You always have an awareness for where Aaron is pre-snap, but after that, it's really you're trying to read the defense and just react as the pocket, allows.
Jimmy, you guys after that Week 18 game made it clear how much you enjoyed having so much red in the stands. What does it actually do for you throughout the course of the game? And besides, potentially getting false starts and making the other team go silent count stuff, but just in terms of energy, what does it do for you guys?
Faithful, they travel tremendously. It's when you could get your fans behind you like that on a road game, and we knew it. Before the game even started, there was a lot of red. You could see it. But once we started making plays and they started getting loud, it just changes the momentum of the game, I think. And you could feel it on the sideline. It's not something that you could really put your finger on, and you can't see specifically, but you could feel it, you could hear it, and that's our team responds well to that. So hopefully the faithful will be out there loud and proud, and I know they're trying.
Jimmy, in the last game against the Rams, when Trent couldn't play and Colton McKivitz played, and he hadn't played all year, obviously he performed admirably, but initially were you unsure of how that was going to go? Was there some trepidation from you or just the offense about what might happen?
You have an awareness for that stuff, obviously, especially as a quarterback, just knowing who's on your blind side. But Colton came in and did a hell of a job. We, like all the guys, we have faith in whoever comes in. Unfortunately, Trent couldn't go, but it's just kind of the team that we have. Whoever has to be in there, you have faith in them. You learn that through practice and being around these guys every day. You just know the kind of person they are. So when that happened, it wasn't. I won't even say it was panic mode. It was just, all right, next guy's up. How do we approach this? What do we have to do? And you just take it from there. It's you don't want to make it too much bigger than it already is.
Jimmy, you mentioned the other night that you felt you guys were in control of the game the entire time and that there was a calm. Is that a feeling that you guys have in every game? Is that why you've been able to win all of these games and deal with such adversity?
I wouldn't say you feel it in every game. Every game's different. So the feel of it, the flow of it. Last time we played the Rams when we were down 17-3, didn't feel like we were in control of that one. So I think each one has its own flavor to it, but you could feel it. It's kind of like the momentum thing I was talking about. You can't really put your finger on it. There's no statistic for it, but there's a feel to it during the game, and I think the coaches and players, especially the guys on the field, have a feel for that, and you kind of get into a rhythm of it as the game goes.
Also, in regards to feel, Kyle was talking about sometimes the sack is the best play. How do you find the balance between maybe taking a sack and then trying to make a play, a big one, and obviously sometimes there's an interception, but where's that balance?
It just comes with being a quarterback, I guess. You kind of learn as you develop as a quarterback, just that, what time of the game is it, what's the score, everything that's going on. You're always, keeping track of these things in your mind, and the game in Green Bay is obviously a little different than some other games, just dealing with the weather and things like that. So you're taking a lot into account. I know I just listed a lot of things there, but that's just the job of a quarterback.
Kind of along the same lines of what Jennifer was asking, I can't think of many instances of you throwing the ball out of bounds, which is often like the conservative play. And I asked Kyle Shanahan about it, and he said, well, your aggressiveness is one of your best qualities. What is your philosophy about throwing the ball away?
When it's necessary, you got to. I think each play, whether first, second, third down, I think all that takes into consideration. But the Dallas game, we had to do it a couple times, I can remember. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have to throw it away, you want to take a chance to a certain degree. But I don't know. That's the fine line. Some of those amazing plays that people make, some of those should have been throwaways, but they decided to try and make a play. So there's a balance there.
Hey, Jimmy, whether it be Robbie punting in Week 18 or what Jordan Willis did, or countless other contributions, it seems like you guys are getting just really clutch pinch hit appearances, if you could take a baseball analogy. Going back to your days with the Patriots, I know you guys won a couple titles there. Have you ever seen anything like this team wide, where guys that seemingly people haven't heard of the week before are stepping up and getting the job done in the absolute clutch?
On a consistent basis like this, not really, to be honest. Every postseason that I've been paying close attention to over the past years, there's always somebody who you won't expect to make the play, and whether it's our team, another team, it's just something that I've noticed over the years. And it's when guys can do that, because you already have your A players and they need to play like A players, but when someone else can step up in those key moments and do something like Jordan this past week, I mean, what he did was incredible, and played a huge part in winning that game for us. So when you could have guys do that, that's what makes for a good team, man. That's what makes you tough to beat.
Last one.
Hey, Jimmy, you get the ball out at an extraordinarily quick rate against this Rams front. How much of that is by Kyle's design? How much of that is you feeling the pocket? I mean, it's like 2 seconds and it's gone. And just describe what that pocket feels like against this front.
I mean, there's some plays where it feels tight and some plays where it feels normal. It just depends what they're trying to do up front, I think. But I think there's a balance of it. Kyle is aggressive in nature, so our game plan usually dictates that a little bit. But as the game goes, you just got to feel the pocket, and you never want to go into the game saying I have to throw it, in 2 seconds. I have to throw it in 3 seconds. But it's more of a feel thing. As the game goes, you get a feel talking to the O-line on the sideline, how they're feeling about it, all that stuff, and it all is played into consideration. But just if you get the ball out, it makes everyone's job easier.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Fred here for you.
Yeah, Fred, after the Green Bay game, Jimmy Ward was talking about the concept of finishing and how Kyle has made such a big deal about that. And he referred back to the Chiefs game and thinking that was a game we didn't finish. And you guys have been pretty good at finishing this year. I'm wondering what, it can be pass rush, it can be the running game. What to you is finishing a game? It's kind of a concept more than it is a specific thing.
To me it means winning. But yeah, I mean, I think our style of football is on both sides of the ball, or all three phases, I should say. The concept of wanting to run the ball well, on defense, closing it out with the marrying up the pass rush with the coverage in the back end. And there was times in the season where we didn't close. Early on in the season, you saw how the Green Bay game went in Week 3 compared to how it went last week. So it's for sure been something that we've gotten better at throughout the year. It takes everyone. It takes everyone being dialed in for a full 4 quarters, and we're going to need the same thing this week.
Fred, you just mentioned the phrase your style of football. You look around the league, and a lot of teams that are still playing have a very different style than what you guys have. Why do you believe your style works so well for you guys?
I think just I think on offense we run the ball really well, which is something that you need in January, February football, and on defense stopping the run. I think it's such a pass-heavy league, but at the same time, teams still want to get the run game going to open up things in the back end. And I think if we lean on those two things on both sides, I think that's kind of like what our core is. I would say.
Right, in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo, the numbers from the 2 playoff games haven't been what they were during the regular season. And I know you've talked about, his leadership and some of the intangible stuff, but just what is it about him behind the scenes that maybe you can elaborate on that allows you to maintain trust in him, even if that, the production might not be what it was in the regular season?
Well, I mean, we're able to maintain trust in him because we keep winning. Like anytime you're like a quarterback is it's the number one. Like if you went down the list of the order of importance at positions on the team, like quarterback's number one. It's very, very heavy. A team's success is very heavily dependent on the quarterback position. So the fact that we're winning games is not just a surprise. Like Jimmy is playing great football, and it's a team game. Like it's not just all heavily dependent upon if Jimmy does well, we're gonna win. Like no, he does exactly what we need him to, and he comes into work every single day and is the exact same person. Like he's not the one. He's not on social media looking at what everybody's tweeting about him. Like who knows what he does outside of the building? I don't know, but I know as soon as he comes inside this building, he's literally the same exact person every day, no matter what. So I think that's what we all kind of respect the most is he just always comes to work. And is always trying to get better.
Fred, a lot of people have talked about how resilient you guys are. What is it about this locker room? How does that resilience develop? I mean, not every roster can go through what you've been through, like staying in Arizona, the Super Bowl in 2019. How does that build and how does that develop on a roster?
Well, I think it starts with guys already having like the right character to begin with, bringing the right people in. I've talked about it. I think we have a group of guys, not to say that other teams don't, but we all genuinely love football and are constantly trying to find ways to get better at our craft. No matter if we're down or if we're up, we're always locked in at the task at hand. And you build resiliency through going through hard things. And we've gone through just about as hard of a season as you can imagine. And the fact that we're still, we're one of 4 teams still in it, I think just speaks true to that. And we're everybody's peaking right at the right time, and that's what the season's about. That's what football's about. Is you got to make sure you're playing at your best when your best is needed. And so we're going to need everybody's best come Sunday.
Got time for 3 more guys.
Fred, building off, Jennifer mentioned Arizona last year. Kyle just talked passionately about what that might mean, bonding this team and how things aren't always easy. They aren't always fun in football. Do you feel like it was something that is carried over? And what was it like? What were those days like stuck in your hotel room? I mean, what did you do all those days?
It was that entire season as a whole was very unique. Starting with that first game in Levi's, 0 fans. We lose a tough one to Arizona, the Cardinals, in game 1. And then throughout the year dealing with the whole COVID protocols and not having fans all year long. And then getting, moved over to Arizona for the remaining part of our season. And, yeah, I mean, you do grow a lot closer, going through something like that. And I'll always remember that season, for a lot of reasons. But I for sure think that has helped build the team, build our team that we have now and make us closer. But, yeah, back then you had no choice but to just to love football and love what you do because there was nothing else.
Hey, Fred, not setting you up for more bulletin board material here, but it's a legitimate question. Kyle, after you guys first beat the Rams in November, he said we want to make the game as physical as possible. And George said before you beat the Rams last time, we want to make the game against them as physical as possible. Obviously, that's the idea, I would imagine, going into most NFL games. But is there something about the Rams that makes you guys want to play, kind of turn it into a backyard brawl?
I'm going to give you something juicy right here. Get ready. No. Listen, we want to be physical every game. It doesn't matter who we're playing. That's back to when we were referring to what is our team built on, and that I think that's you see it on tape every week, and that's just the type of guys we have, and that's how we play every week.
Last one, guys.
Fred, you guys didn't get a ton until that last third down at Green Bay. I wonder what it's been like for you and for D'Amico this year to kind of figure out when to trust, what you guys do well versus when to maybe be selectively aggressive and blitz.
That's solely on D'Amico, and he has been just tremendous. The way that he's called games, especially in this late part of the season, I mean, it's unreal. Like I see it unfold before my eyes. Obviously, being out there running the plays and receiving them, giving them out, and you build so much trust in a coach when in tough moments, like in clutch moments and tight games like that, and sometimes you just gotta take chances, and when it turns out, like you build so much confidence in your coach, you want to play that much harder for him.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Hey, Faithful, subscribe to our YouTube channel.